Welcome back, folks. This is the how to use the Mindtap and textbook in the course. So now that you have registered in Mindtap, as we went through in the first module, you have the book and you've already registered and you're all set up in our course, which is the Comp 2105 Spring 2003 with Karen. If you recall, just as a reminder, the next part is to get started. So hopefully you've gotten that part taken care of and now you're ready to kind of dive in. So I'm going to show you how you're going to be using Mindtap and your textbook with this course. Basically, as noted in our Mindtap course I mentioned before and in the first module, that there are three pieces in each module in Mindtap: a textbook project, an assignment, and a quiz. Your textbook that you've purchased, whether you have an ebook or a hard copy book, will be used for the textbook project. That is basically what you would call a simulated training. And it basically, through the 4 modules, takes you through each one of the modules using a simulated company. And in this case, the company is called Lakewood, and that is what you'll be doing throughout the 4 modules. So it's important, as number one, that you are reviewing your modules before jumping in and getting started. It's really important to read through the content within that. I'm just going to scroll down. I have a bunch of information here, but I'm going to try and take you through each of it kind of step by step. So just talking about the textbook itself, if you open up your textbook to the maroon section of that textbook, which is the Microsoft Access section, you will see that there are, some boxes throughout the book. Basically, there's colored sections in this book, and in the first section is called Module 1, Creating a Database. So if you flip through the module, you're going to see some white page text, you're going to see pictures, you're going to be seeing brown shaded boxes with text, you're going to see green shaded boxes with text, and that's what's called the pro skill. So these are some of the different sections within each module. But essentially, all the text that is has the white background is really the theory portion of the text that you need to read through. It's kind of useless to go jumping right into, which we'll see next, are the brown shaded boxes, because these are really the steps that you're going to be performing, or the tasks that you're going to be doing as part of the training. But to do that, it's really important to read why you're doing it. And that's why the white background sections before and after the brown shaded boxes in your textbook is important. I can't emphasize that enough. So that should be part of your process when you approach the training process for each module. So again, in each module, you're going to do a textbook project first, in which you'll be using your textbook for the instructions to be able to complete that task or to complete that training. That all needs to be done prior to jumping into any of the assignments and or quizzes. The other emphasis I would say would be that, and you'll note in our course in Mindtap, that I do have a kind of a disclaimer that you really want to have a minimum of 60% to complete the assignment. This is obviously worth points. These are all worth 10% each for each module, but you also want to have it, a 60. Before you move ahead. For each of these, you have, for the textbook project, you have 2 attempts, and same with the assignment, you have 2 attempts. So basically what that means is you can go through the entire project, do all the tasks associated with that in the textbook, then you're going to upload it and you get a mark. And essentially it gives you the mark back, and it also shows you feedback on how you did and where you got some wrong. So what that means is it gives you an opportunity to go back in to that file, and using the grading report, which shows you where you went wrong, you can go back and try to fix those errors, and then you get another chance to submit it. So basically you get 3 chances for the textbook project and 3 for the assignment. That being said, that all does take time. So again, you need to make sure you use your time wisely over the 2-week periods for each of these modules that we're going to be looking at. So I'm going to go back here. So again, this basically just talks a little bit about what I am essentially saying to you in this recording. In terms of the textbook. So the textbook will be used in conjunction with the textbook project in each one of the modules. Module 1, Module 2 textbook, Module 3 textbook, Module 4 textbook. I'm just going to close those for now. The other piece that I wanted to make note of, again, up here, I just reiterate the fact that there are 4 modules, and the order in which you want to complete them. So the textbook project, then the assignment, then the quiz. And that's also coincides with the due dates as well. The next part of this process of using Mindtap are accessing the files necessary to complete each one of these 3 pieces. Each one of them are going to have what are known as starter files and instruction files. So these starter files or supporting files are all inside our Mindtap course and inside each one of the 3 pieces. And I'm going to take you through that and show you what that looks like. So to access your starter files, you're going to be clicking on one of the activities within that folder of Module 1, and I'm going to take you through that in a second. And then you're going to follow in the instructions on the screen, and I'm going to show you that. And I made a note here, just be careful that you could easily miss step 1, which is where the starter files need to be downloaded. So the other part about Mindtap is when we download the files to save and then go to save it, we do have to change the name of the file, and I'm going to walk you through that process now. So for the first one in Module 1, which is the textbook project, which you'll be using with your textbook, you're going to click on the link, and you can see the due date is this coming Friday. You'll click on the name, and then this screen's going to come up, and this screen will come up in each one of those activities in the folder. It'll all look similar. Basically, it's saying generally the same things. That it's just saying you must have a SAM start file. It used to be called SAM, so basically you need to have the starter file provided to get credit for the assignment. You also need to note for the textbook project, you need to disregard the textbook instructions that ask you to create a new file and use from another location. And we're going to go through that in a moment as we do this. And that is for the textbook projects pieces. The assignments and the quizzes all have their own instructions that come with them in Mindtap. But basically when we use the textbook, we are going to use files from Mindtap, not new ones that the instructions take you through. And that'll become more clear in a moment. And again, you can see here that this project isn't compatible with Office for Mac. Use Office for Windows to complete this project. The overview, basically complete the project assignment, read each step completely before attempting it. Some steps include multiple instructions. And you want to make sure you have the right version of Microsoft Office installed, and you can check that there. You can see here that there's a maximum number of submissions allowed, 3, and it'll tell you how many you have. So if you've submitted once, you come back, it'll say 2, etc. And so to get started, you basically press the Start button. And it takes you to this screen, which is a very important screen. Basically, these are 3 steps. There's step 1, step 2, and step 3. You'll see a few things, and again, this is obviously this is linked to me, but if you open this up for yourself, it's going to have your name listed there, not mine. Just to note that. And same here, you'll see your name, not mine. And that's absolutely fine. So the first step is, this is the downloading of the files that you're going to need to be able to go through the textbook training. And you can see here it says you must use the start file below. This is this file. You're going to disregard the textbook instructions that ask you to create a new file or to use a file from another location. And you will see that if you open up, you're creating a database module 1 in your textbook, it does when I believe it starts on page AC17 where it starts to discuss opening up and starting a new file. So these are the files you're going to be using for the textbook project, not a brand new Access file. So first and foremost, I'm going to download all of these items. So this is what you'll do every time you come in for the textbook project as well as the assignments, because you're going to have a starter file as well. But for now, we're just going to focus on the textbook projects. So they all download, and you can see they're here as well as the support file. Basically, that support file is something you're going to use as you get into the training in the textbook. As part of what the owner is asking you to do, you're going to need that file. So basically, we need to now save these in a place that is organized and makes sense and you're able to access readily. So you should be saving these to your OneDrive. Sorry, I have to bring them to my